So investing in property and paper, real estate notes. So welcome to everybody. We'll just sort of have a informal one. I kind of want to, just as a way of announcement, just sort of invite anyone who has a deal or a specific question that we bring it up tonight. I'm going to go on a bit of a sabbatical for the summer. So this will be my last meeting that I'm going to host, as far as I know, unless I have a spontaneous desire or something, until September. I'm just going to do a little bit of a reboot and just kind of get off the hamster wheel a little bit and see what wants to come out at the end of the summer. I think maybe I'll even go fishing. I'll learn how to fish again or something like that. So anyway, so this would be a good time to just, if you have any specific deals you're working on, like we do with the virtual coffees usually, and at our meetings as well. So I'm really glad to have you guys here. So why don't we just go, do we need to do any, oh, and just as a reminder too, you can always, I mean, I'm still available, you know, we're still looking at properties and notes and things like that. It's not like I'm just like going off the deep end or something like that. I can still do consultations as well. I'm just not doing, you know, I'm downsizing some of my activities for the next 3 months or so. But so if you have any sort of note or real estate transaction, in fact, I was talking with a seller today who might even be on this call. He said he lives in Carson City. He submitted a property and he says, I never made it to one of your groups, but I was going to. But I said, you know what? You need to list your property with a realtor. And he goes, yeah, I got that memo. So he already did that. So anyway, it's just kind of cool how sometimes you don't know who's listening and who's around. So with that, Axel, do we need to do any sort of housekeeping?
Sure. For those of you just jumping on, you can chat your questions over to support, and I will do my best to fill those over to Dawn. Sound quality is super important, so if you're in a noisy area, just mute yourself, and if you need help, I will help you mute yourself.
Okay, well, cool. Let's just check in with our guys. So, hey, Dave, how are you doing up there in Tahoe?
Well,
What's the climate up there?
it's where you all want to live. It's perfect right now.
Is it perfect? Nobody's there?
It's fairly quiet in town, and the weather's Tahoe fabulous. But I do have a question of Abby.
Yes.
Yeah, go
Hi.
ahead.
What we're getting a sense of, this is talking to different agents, is that because a lot of the tech companies, Facebook comes to mind right off the bat, who announced that they're going to be allowing like half of their workforce or whatever to work from home permanently.
Get ready. It's coming.
Well, they're already here. They're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming to town looking for houses.
Yeah, it's true.
We've got a limited supply, and it's holding up the prices. And it's an interesting demand because normally the money that comes up here wants to go to Nevada because it's tax free.
All right.
But these are all California employees, so they're going to pay California tax anyway, and we're the cheapest part of the lake.
Hmm.
So we have this new group of buyers, which is interesting because we have properties coming on the market, nice properties, because the community voted out vacation rentals.
Wow.
And so everybody said prices were going to drop because the VHR owners all around the country are starting to dump their properties. They have no idea what kind of health laws they're going to have to deal with and so on, you know, in the new world. And so there's a lot of those coming on the market. On Jim Ingersoll's thing a few weeks ago, somebody said 300 came on the market in one day, I think, in San Antonio.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
And
Short-term rentals?
right, yeah. And so everybody thought that we'll have all these vacant properties and prices dropping because of the vacation rentals going out of business. And in fact, I think we're gonna have high income people filling that void.
That's right.
Yeah, my neighborhood's 33 houses, and 2 of them are telecommuters, one from LA and one from San Francisco.
Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen across the board.
Yeah,
It
so,
already hasn't.
and I think it may, a lot of people have said Reno's oversold,
Mhm.
but I think it may affect Reno too.
Yeah. And those are going to be, it's going to be I predict that it's going to be the first wave. Like people are going to, move eastward, I guess you can say, from the California coast.
Mhm.
And it's not going to, I mean, it's not going to stop, quite frankly. I think it's just going to keep going and going. I think you're going to see a lot to move to Texas. I think, I believe it or not, I think you're going to see a lot to Nevada. You're going to even see a lot to like Boise and like Denver and area, Salt Lake City, these Western, cities that have, fairly nice weather for the most part, that are not heavily congested and are extremely affordable. Twitter has already said, I believe, indefinite employees can work from home. I can speak from experience at my wife's company, which is also nothing publicly traded, but an ad tech company in San Francisco. Their board of directors is very hesitant to allow people to go back at all. They're talking about permanent, telecommuting. So it's coming. It's coming. I mean, if it hasn't already happened.
So Abby, doesn't that mean that if prices are going up, people are moving, does that mean Bay Area prices are going to go down?
I doubt it. Everyone's got to remember what keeps Bay Area prices up is not necessary. It's the tech stocks. So when Facebook and Twitter, or not that Twitter's doing great, but Facebook and Tesla and these other Bay Area companies when their the stock starts tanking, that's when you're going to see, within 4 to 6 months later. I mean, if it's a significant tank, that is going to allow for a correction in that industry, which I think it's sorely needed. In about 4 to 6 months, again, my prediction, you'll see recalibration of real estate market in San Francisco. But why I don't think it's going to happen is because you got to keep in mind the tech industry is completely propping up San Francisco, and they're importing people from India, from Asia, so they don't necessarily need Americans to keep prices up. And I know that may not sit well with some, it may be fine with others, but it's all about the stock price of those companies, San Francisco markets.
I was just referring to you saying if it's going to be half the workforce to potentially leave the valley.
That's right. Oh, for sure.
That's less demand for housing.
It is less demand for housing, but again, as many people are quickly leaving, there's going to be new people brought in from, again, other places of the world as new employees, because that's a big part of their business model.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What am I seeing on my screen?
Hmm.
You guys see that?
I see it. I don't know.
I don't see it.
Oh, it's somebody's face.
Yeah, I guess so.
Someone's avatar.
Yeah.
So could I introduce a new member?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
Joiner? Okay, you'll see somewhere on your screen Olachi Anamaribi. And
Hi.
Hello.
I've heard about you.
yeah,
Oh.
just to show how this goes full circle, I bought my daughter's in St. Louis. I went to a local pizza place MeetUp, met up with Olachi. We have a common interest in that I lived in Africa in the Peace Corps, and she's African descent, and we become friends. She's now in North Carolina, and she's in escrow on the first house she's ever bought for herself, and she's scared to death.
I'm not scared.
Congratulations.
A little bit anxious.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it goes from Tahoe to St. Louis to North Carolina to your MeetUp. So
Well, you probably had something to do with connecting all that, didn't you, Dave?
yeah, about 5 minutes ago, I told her to get on.
Yeah.
He did. So I'm here, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, great. Happy to have you here. And
And
well,
I was going to ask, she's in Durham, North Carolina.
mhm.
If anybody has any connections in that city that's doing deals, flipping houses, whatever, can you share them with her?
Sure.
Yeah, because she's just starting,
Sure.
or pass them through me or whatever.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it looks like we probably have a few on here, don't but anyway, hey Abby, before we get into anybody else, and if you have something that you want to bring up, would you please be sure to get to Axel, because I can't keep track of things as they're going, but either chat or email to Axel.
Okay, sure.
Not you.
Me?
No, not you.
Did you say Abby?
I said Axel.
Oh.
You think everything that starts with A is your name?
That's right. I've done in my head.
Angel Abby. Angel Abby.
It's gonna be like the Odd Couple, like arguing over a Zoom call. No, you said it. No, I said it.
Yeah.
Now everyone gets to see what our phone calls look like during the day.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of that, let's just get let's give us a pulse. What do you got going in your note brokering world?
You talking to me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not much has changed since we last spoke a month ago. The only thing that has changed is the fact that it does, and I'm gladly seeing, I'm taking this in very happily, that there is some sort of change or thaw, if you would. It's not necessarily in the capital or the type of notes that we're seeing, but we're seeing it in the attitudes of both investors and sellers. Kind of breathing easier, and there was just panic was driving a lot of the decision making. It was driving a lot of the action. I do have one thing I'd like to share with the group, just to give you guys an idea. Typically we get about roughly on an average month anywhere between 2,500 and 3,500 people that come across our website. That if it were a brick and mortar place, they come through our door, right? So they're not necessarily completing an action. They're not filling out a submission form. Some are, some aren't, but they're coming to the site regardless. April 2020, we had 10,800 people come across our site. So it went from, on the high end of 3,500, which was December of 2019, the highest that we've seen, to 10,800 in April. It should give some, and March was nowhere near that. It was like, 27, something like that. It gives you guys an understanding of the, I don't want to say panic shopping, but we were getting panic quote requests. We were getting panic sales. We were getting investors that were panicking, that were trying to sell hard money loans and non-QM loans. So there was just a lot of panic, and I see that subsiding. That's the main difference.
And you expect that to continue?
I hope so. I do. We all, well, I shouldn't say we all, but a good operator will maneuver and read the terrain in a way that allows them to be successful in any kind of market. Sometimes it takes a minute for that market to come into focus, but I do hope that it continues, because it's not from a societal perspective that we could all use a little focus right now.
Yeah. I was just reading an email from Mike, who was just saying that he's starting. Did you see that? Are you on his list? Maybe you're not.
Mike, yeah. I saw, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, he's just, saying that they're starting to see a lot more non-performers from sellers, institutions that haven't been in the market, but that the pricing still isn't even reasonable.
No.
Not even remotely reasonable. I mean, like I personally hope that, like for instance, here's an anecdote of what I'm dealing with. Like, so like, you remember that Bakersfield boat?
Yeah.
From like last April, a year ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the guy, I had a really sweet deal worked out for him. That I would do a short payoff, and he'd walk away, feel just like sell the property, and he would win and I would win. And anyway, so he decided not to follow through. So January 31st sale date, he files BK 13. And then we get COVID that slows down the BK. So this guy's been living for free for over a year. And then he texts me the other day, because he's we just got a dismissal thing because he hasn't followed through predictably with his
Sure.
BK 13.
Sure.
So he's going to be dismissed probably in 3 weeks or so. I think the date is June 20 something. But he's just like, then he has like, he texts me, do you have any COVID mortgage relief plans? And I'm like,
For commercial property.
I'm going, oh, you poor soul.
I know.
But I'm really hoping that, prices don't tank because, by the time I get around to trustee sale in early July, I want the support to be there. So
Everything is changing. If I may add, everything is changing so quickly. It's like, this is very fluid, right? So what's going to happen? I mean, if there is a as they say, a V rebound, or I don't know if it would be considered V, but more like a U rebound at this point, and we start seeing the economy roaring back, I mean, which I hope is the case, we're not going to see realistic seller pricing coming from institutions. We're not going to see this kind of stuff, and it would be more murky for opportunity, but it may be better for national economic. It depends on we're not going to know until we come out into the sunlight and assess the damage as a country. And we are still, this is the third call since this whole COVID thing.
right.
And we're still not there yet. We're still talking about, well, we just don't know. I mean, to a certain extent. So
Yeah, what's the latest in California? Did they extend you? I can't remember what's the latest for you.
Honestly don't listen to the news anymore. From last time I heard, it was the 4th of January, which is next week.
4th of January? You know what?
That's
You're more
what the
disoriented than I am. Jesus.
Working. So I'm still on Memorial Day vacation mode. So 4th of June. 4th of June is coming.
Yeah. I guess I haven't really noticed that much, but any place that makes me have to wear a mask, I won't go in it. So. Okay. Hey, Dave or Abby, is there anything else you guys want to bring up before we ask if anyone wants to, has raised their hand to talk about something?
Nothing off the top of my head.
Okay. Abby, you?
I do not at the moment. There's nothing really new to report. And if something does come up, I will absolutely let you know. I had some points brought up, but it's really not worth noting because, nothing's really changed from where we're sitting, except for the fact that it remains consistently, let's put it to you that way.
Yeah, and it seems that way with, the real estate things people I'm talking to. I mean, I guess I'm getting some feedback on people who have some vacant land that's been on the market for a while. I've been working with some of the sort of the expired lists, very custom lists of things that are, my little tiny niche market that I kind of have fun working over. But I mean, people are still pretty unrealistic with, I guess there was like 10 acres in Carson City. They had listed for $425,000. They bought it for like $78,000 in 2001. And, they've been sitting on the market unsold for 9 months or something like that. But really they're going, oh, you can build 10 houses here, just like behind Fandango. And I'm going, we looked at it and we're like, no, you could probably get 2 5-acre lots, because then the things that mess that up are like the city needing, all of a sudden they're going to want you to, pull in all the infrastructure, pave all the streets, the roads, all of that sort of a thing. So
yeah.
And I've got a little piece of land I was trying to sell, and then we've got issues with setbacks because I had to demo it. It was such a disaster. I had to demo it before we had rebuild plans, so now my setbacks changed. So, but anyway, that works out okay because I've got my brother's kids, daughter who came up, and she bought a tiny house from a guy that I know down the road who's been trying to sell one for 3 years that he built. I'm just going to set her little tiny house on that little tiny lot. It's only 3,000 square feet, and just do a land lease. And I think I can get away with temp power for 18 months. And it's like, if I can get away with power for 18 months, maybe that gives me time to get my, development budget put together to put a little, 800,000 square foot house on that lot,
Mhm.
apply for the variance. But I don't know. Other than that, it's just like, my Dave, this, and I don't know if Pat's on the line, but it's like, wow, it's just my other headache. I've got a few things, but people have started to catch up a little bit. People that were behind 2-3 months, all of a sudden will get a lump payment. It hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
And that Missouri deal that I've been trying to turn around for, I think we're going on over 18 months now. I think we're this close to closing it. But it's just, what I've determined is I really, really have a distaste for these long distance rehabs. I did not price it in. I didn't price that note. Even though I bought a front end partial, I thought I was doing good. I'm still going to take a loss on that, probably $40,000 loss on that. So those are kind of the fun seminars that you can get when, I don't know. That's just all kind of going on. Except, the biggest news in my life is that in 3 days, I'm going to have probably 45 quail that are ready to come out of the brooder at Teresa's house, and they're going to come out here to the Dayton Ranch. So we're going to be, we're Q grandmas, quail grandmas. Since our kids aren't having any kids, we'll have to have baby quails. So that'll be kind of fun. Getting a bunch of little eggs and all of that. So, okay, Axel, is anyone? Hello?
This is Sarah. Can I ask, do you have Airbnbs, right?
Yeah.
Airbnbs?
Actually,
what are you doing with those right now?
Actually, they're doing pretty well. I gotta say, they're actually doing well, because oddly, because of everything else being weird, then like not having hotels and things like that, our duplex is just almost not even noticed. And then my other larger property just got taken up for a month from a group of 4 women from Washington, D.C., probably getting out of the hotbed of all the things going on. But so actually I was a little dead in that one larger property for maybe 2 months. And so I was getting to use it myself quite a bit. But after this and through the summer, I'm not going to have a lot of downtime. So, I mean, I had a lot of cancellations. I had to refund a lot of people, but a lot new people have booked in. And I said, look, only book if you are really comfortable traveling. And I'm not going to refund unless something, changes where they say, they're going to shoot you if you cross property, state lines or something. So actually, we've done well, but we have very easy financing, low leverage, either from loan amount or the actual, on the one property, it's just the interest rate is so ridiculously low. So yeah. So anyway, I haven't been stressed at all. Is that you, Sam? But yeah, why do you ask, Sarah? Before I let you go, is there anything else you wanted to say or ask?
No, I was just curious how you and the others here that have short-term rentals are doing and what you've decided to do, or are you still just holding on and waiting it out?
I have a question for you. How are you doing with your short-term rentals, Sarah?
Myself, I don't have any short-term rentals.
Gotcha. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah,
no problem. I wanted to see if there was some feedback there and what precipitated that question.
Just being in the arena and getting more and more knowledge and hearing what others are saying and what they're doing with theirs. A couple people are already converting them.
Yeah, no, we're just holding steady and doing fine. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've been in a little bit of a bubble, which is nice and a little strange. But I'm going to be thankful for that.
Dawn, this is Mary Kay.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. I can't get my picture to show, so I can't join you visually.
Oh,
I changed computers and I'm not sure what's going on, but I did have a thought I wanted to share.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, let's see. I'll be having a place, a room available because my domestic situation has changed, and I'll be looking for you Carson Cityites or anybody else who might be interested in opportunity or a rental, for a short term, long term in a residence. I would have something like that upcoming in a couple of months. And it would be a nice location.
Is that your one over on Mountain?
No, it's my personal home.
Oh, have I ever been to it?
To my house?
Yeah.
Yes, you have. On
Oh,
Richmond.
you mean the one on Richmond?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're staying there and other party is leaving.
Other party has left.
Has left. Okay. You know what? A lot of us have had a lot of change going.
I know, it's like, COVID hit and, but this just happened probably a week and a half ago. So I'm still adjusting and
Right.
trying to, things are shifting continuously, but at a good pace.
So
And
what's your perfect picture? Like, do you want it to be short term, people kind of turning through, or do you want just someone?
I think it would vary. Maybe short term, even initially for a month or two, just so I can feel it out and see how things are going to work up, or what I might need to do to adjust, and
So
then if
you're gonna keep the master bedroom and the bath
Yep.
over there.
Yep, and
And
then
they have
I've
the
got
room on the
I've
other
got
side of the
a
house?
workout. I've got a really nice workout room in the house too.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
then it's got a good backyard with the cabana back there too.
oh, it's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
So
your
anyway,
back.
just keep that in mind.
How much do you want for the room?
Dawn, I hadn't really even thought about it until this meeting, and it's a time to share an update. So I just thought
Yeah,
I'd put it out on the
actually,
table.
I might follow up with you on that.
Okay, well, we
Yeah.
could talk about it. It's not, I'm open.
Okay, thank you. And either congratulations or condolences, or depending on the day, whichever it is. I know it's really super stressful, no matter if it's a good thing or not. Like, change is really, really stressful. So
Well, getting hit with it with COVID and then this, but it's okay.
so you took social distancing a little farther than most. You have to get out of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, 6
Anyway.
miles away minimum.
I'm sorry?
Hey, is she able to run her practice?
Yes.
Okay. Got you. All right. Well, good to hear from you. I haven't seen you in a while, so
Yeah, okay.
thanks for coming
It's
on.
good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
doing this. It's really great. Maybe I can figure out how to put my face on the screen, but I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mary Kay. All right. Who else? Axel, did anyone chat or email you or anything?
Yeah, I have a couple chats. Let me start with Ashish.
Okay.
He sent over two questions. The first question is, and this might be something Abby may comment on, no investing. The business, does it require a lot of legal paperwork compared to wholesaling or rehabbing? So from a legal level.
So from a legal level, it's just to repeat the question, from a legal level, what's more arduous in the sense of investing in notes or wholesaling notes?
Let me see if I can unmute him because we need clarity here. Ashish?
Yeah. No, my question is like, I'm new to note investing niche of things, and I've been reading and listening to a lot of videos, but it seems like in note investing you need a really good legal teamwork, like team to handle a lot of paperwork. It's not just like a simple real estate closing or like just wholesaling. sometimes these things and drag out for a long period of time. Am I correct in my assessment, or
It
is that
depends on what kind of notes you're buying, is the answer there. But, you know, with a note closing, right? So when you take assignment of a note, obviously you're going to be looking, you know, I'm going to describe, I mean, obviously you're going to be looking at broker pricing opinions and appraisals. I don't know, you don't really consider that legal. That's more of an underwriting. Of course, title work and title policies and all that good stuff. When it gets to the legal assignment documentation, you have a very standard, well, I say standard, but it's fairly standard, a purchase and sale agreement, some sort of receivable purchase and sale agreement, or a loan purchase agreement, something along those lines. You'll also have a very simple assignment of deed of trust or an assignment of mortgage. Typically, that can be handled by, you know, a title company or an attorney's office should have no problem with that. And then, of course, you're going to have also the same document, different terminology. The same way you endorse a check to someone, like you need the original. It's the similar concept where you're going to be endorsing the note. And it's a very short, 1 paragraph, maybe 2 paragraph document. And then, of course, other than that, the rest of the information is usually generated, or the documentation is generated by the title company or an attorney's office, like a closing statement or a HUD of some sort. Now, that's the typical document flow for a performing loan. Non-performing, you know, you're going to see the same documentation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to need a great legal team. Don't let a great legal team stop. I mean, let me rephrase. Don't not buy notes because you don't have a team of lawyers behind you. You know what I mean? That is no reason to sit it out. That being said, you want to make sure that you have your legal items in order. For instance, you know where you're operating, what the laws are in that state, so forth and so on, especially when you're taking on consumer loans, loans that are single families secured by a real estate that a person occupies as their primary residence. That is where extra attention needs to be focused. When you're talking about commercial, non-owner occupied, you know, business notes, I guess you could say, land notes, mobile home portfolios, you know, that kind of thing, like chattel mortgages and all that, assuming that they're not for commercial or for residential use or owner occupied use. These are areas that are going to be less likely to have legal restrictions. So I hope that answers your question. I know it was long-winded.
Like to me though, Abby, can't you agree that if you're not buying institutional paper or huge portfolios of that, I mean, if you're just buying mom and pop paper, to me, it's the same complexity as buying a piece of property.
You're absolutely right.
It's very similar, so that the thing that sort of offends me is that it's been made to seem so complex that people think that, oh, and buying a note is I mean, I thought it was. I didn't know until I knew. And I had been kicking around the note business for 5 or 7 years before I actually, you know, bought one.
Yeah.
You know? And I was scared, and I had, you know, someone hold my hand even at it. But I go, to me, it's really super similar to the purchase. And I don't feel like I need a big legal team when I've got title company and their lawyers looking over the policies. So I don't get hung up on that. I mean, I just turned in something today to escrow, and like bare bones documents. I go, okay, no, Granted, I know the parties, we've worked together before on things, but I put a deal together. Okay, not a big deal. $3,000 in my pocket this week.
Yeah.
But you know, it was like 3 documents. Send it in. Let the title company and a really competent escrow officer handle it for me, and I don't sweat it. So I think it's a disservice for people to think that it's really so much harder than a real estate transaction, because I don't think it is.
May I ask? I'm sorry. It's Ashish. Yes.
Right.
Is there a specific idea or specific something that you specifically have in mind that you're wanting to hone in on? not, I don't want to say stopping you, but that you're want to focus on or you're concerned with? Or is it just a general, idea that you have here?
No, it's just like I've heard so many different legal terms in different videos, and
Yeah.
and they're very different from just buying a plain like a piece of property, or just buying, or just doing a wholesaling.
Yeah.
And the
Wholesale-
transaction has a different like terms to it, and it just makes you feel okay. There's more to this than just there's a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of legal heavy work that needs to be done, heavy lifting or weight that needs to be done.
Not as,
Hey,
not
Abby,
oh,
Abby, this is Sri. Can I add to?
yes, please. Yes, of course.
Sure. Hey, Don. I've been buying non-performing notes since 2014, first and second. I don't buy owner finance, only bank originated loans. I never used a title company. I never used a settlement company because I buy in 36 different states,
Right.
or at least I bought in 36 different states. What I go by is, first of all, know your buyer. So what I mean is, if a lot of people talk about going to FCI exchange and buying off of it, if you don't have experience, I never bought from FCI exchange. I sold there, but never bought them, because a lot of the times what happens is, if you don't know what you're buying, they basically send a tape or an Excel spreadsheet with a list of notes, and you look at it, you do your due diligence. All of that is great, and I've seen people burnt where they wire the money because there's no settlement company here. They wire the money, and the actual physical collateral never comes to you.
Yep.
Right. So you need to know your seller. What I mean by that is, either you need to have talked to them or talk to people who have bought from them in the past to verify that they are good on delivering the collateral, which is mortgage note, assignment, allowance, and all of that. Right. And I also differ. If you're buying non-performing notes, I would definitely suggest that get a counsel, in the sense, people who actually foreclose in there, right? Foreclose in that state. For example, I'll give you an example, right? Right when I got started, 2014, it's not in 2014, but I bought a note in 2015 in Pennsylvania, Allegheny County. And I'm happy to announce that February of this year, I finally resolved it.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And I actually did a whole webinar last Thursday for 90 minutes of lessons learned, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, in my MeetUp group. So if you don't have counsel, right, legal team, what I'm saying is, if you want to stay local or more lender-friendly states, some of the Midwest states, stick to there and have a counsel, right? And I don't have a course or anything, but if you want any legal team, any of the states that I work in.
You know what? Can you type in a link so people can find you?
Yeah.
And connect with you, because we're not talking apples to apples here, because the type of buying you're talking about is not really the entry level note buying for most newbies.
Right.
So, most people are, and I agree, it's complex. It's more complex than I even want to wrap my head around.
Right.
I get enough non-performers trying to buy performing notes, so I don't need to. Right. But anyway, most people, the easiest way for them to get involved is carry paper, do owner financing on property they already own, do hard money lending in their local area, or some place that they feel like they have boots on the ground. Next, buy notes from a broker that they trust, either like Abby, connect with Abby, connect with me. It's all about the relationships. 'Cause you can meet a lot of people, but the ones you end up doing business with aren't all that many. Like, you really have to have a connection,
Absolutely.
right? But most
Absolutely.
people aren't going to enter at the non-performing note. Some do, or they're not going to be going, I'm going to wire $10 million and cross my fingers and hope I get the collateral files. There's so many horror stories of that I've heard that I'm like, just not my game,
I want to add too. There's as I mentioned, it's about the strategy. It's about what kind of notes you're buying, what your strategy is. There's a different strategy and a different set of preparation that's required for performing seller finance than there is buying from FCI, the largest loan servicer in the United States in that area, or one of the largest loan servicers that offloads. It's very popular, and then when you're starting talking about institutional assets, I don't know how many out there have bought bank originated notes, but you're going to get just a loan the collateral, the purchase and sale agreement is just that thick alone, 20, 30 pages, whereas some seller finance, seller carry notes, 5 pages tops. So it really depends on the strategy. Buying non-performing is going to be a hell of a lot different than it would be to buy performing. It's going to be a hell of a lot different to buy in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, than it would in Philadelphia County, Pennsylvania, although they're both going to be arduous because it's a mortgage state. So if you are, as Sri said, that you need to stick to lender-friendly states, and they're typically deed of trust states. I would recommend Texas, and other deed of trust states, and not necessarily mortgage states. But there's a whole wide variety, if that is what you're making reference to, with regards to the legal aspects, for sure.
Now, Shri, wasn't it fairly recent that a lot of the servicers and the legal teams would not foreclose for you unless something changed in the last few months. You have to have a pay history, a verified pay history, or they won't even start processing your.
Again, it depends on states. It depends on states. Illinois recently started doing that. Ohio started doing that. Ohio has gone completely bonkers right now.
Yeah.
They want you to get a debt collector's license. I spent $2,700 so far, and it's been 9 months. They won't give me the license. They won't tell me whether I'm approved or not. It's on, like, you need a debt collector license. They introduced a new law, and they won't approve or return.
Just to be the beneficiary on a mortgage.
No, to collect on non-performing debt.
Well, yeah, you have don't you use a licensed servicer anyway?
No. In addition to that, you need to get a license. So
right. So because you're the beneficiary on the note and mortgage.
Yes. Right. Either you need loan originator or debt collector license.
Right. So that's the same. Yeah. I think that's the same in Washington, Georgia, and where else?
Oregon.
Illinois, Oregon. Maryland is debatable. I have a Maryland license. I have a Georgia license. I have an Illinois license. I don't have Washington. I'm working on it. Kentucky needs a $1 million bond no matter what.
Wow.
That's gone crazy too. So a lot of the states are getting crazy. I think there is a legislation for California and New York also to actually go that route. So
I think that has a lot to do. I know I'm going to get poo-pooed for this, but it has a lot to do with politics, folks. I mean, think about it. All those states that were named are highly regulatory, states. I mean, that's just, it is. And we're seeing that more and more. What happens when all 50 states want it? I guess, it's just going to be a very interesting thing to see over the next 10 years. And I honestly believe that they won't tell you in Ohio because they don't know what the hell they're doing there. Honestly, I think that they're rolling this stuff out so quickly and they're getting the blessing of these state legislators. They don't even know what they're voting for because they have lobbyists in dark suits whispering in their ear that they need to do this. You know what I mean? And non-elected bureaucratic, influence. And I really, this is a point of contention for me, as you can hear, because this is what is going to not just ruin opportunity in this industry, but it's already ruined opportunity in many industries. So I hope that, people come to their senses. We'll see.
Yeah. So, if I was listening in, especially if I was brand new, I go, wow, this whole thing is a landmine, never mind.
Right. Right. And it's not necessarily the case because there's going to be something that, innovation changes things. What we're not taking into consideration is the innovation that's going to occur during the backdrop of all of this. And it is going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Does anyone else have a question for Shri? Not that, I don't know if you're leaving anytime soon. The East Coast people have it a little tougher. Late for you guys.
No kidding.
Kristen Kane has raised hand is what I see on my screen. Can you unmute yourself, or Axel, can we get her talking?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, how are you? You know what?
I'm
I
good.
totally blew you off yesterday because I forgot that the appointment was Memorial Day.
I
And
understand.
gosh, I'm really sorry
so.
about that. We were doing okay, so I got this big horse arena and no horses. So we got this ginormously long slip and slide, and we were, you know, pulling each other with the quad. So we were having good family times. So, I'm
No
sorry.
worries, no
That doesn't
worries.
give you a lot of professional confidence, I know. But anyway, nice to meet you. So what were you going to talk to me about?
Well, nice to meet you too. And to everybody else out there, nice to meet you as well. Well, I guess just wanted to give some background on who I was and come to your meeting and network and meet people.
Who you used to be, or you're going to?
Oh, well, or who I want to become or who I am now.
Okay, yeah. So are you a relatively new real estate wholesaler in Reno? I was sort of guessing, or?
Yes, I am. So I guess I started around February, you know, right before the coronavirus started. And then around April, you know, between February and April, I started networking, meeting people, making partnerships, started talking to people, like going to Ginger's meetings,
right,
talking to realtors and other investors and things, other wholesalers going. I registered a business name. I set up a website. I've got a Google ad, and I started getting some leads. So I've got 2 properties under contract now. Both have buyers, actually. But I'm trying to get things up and going. You know, yeah, I'm a newbie, but I'm very motivated. I meant to come to your meetings before because I want to be a well-rounded investor, and I want to know as much as I can. And you know, paper and notes and things is of interest to me. Not that I really want to buy any right now, but I like to learn and know more about it. I'm also interested in, you know, seller financing, things like I want to buy rental properties. I'm really into wholesaling to try and get some money so I can buy rental properties and make cash flow that way. I emailed you in particular because through my email, I got a lead for a note. And at the time, I didn't really know, you know, who I could go to and who I could refer these notes to. And that's, you know, enter you and to your other associates. I did actually wind up finding a buyer for this note. He's actually someone that comes to your meetings. So,
was it Dave Kurtzman?
No, it wasn't. But I just wanted to officially introduce myself and to everybody else at the meeting that I am a wholesaler and I am interested in looking for partnerships, also for investors who are looking for properties, people I could put on my cash buyers list, just people overall that I can connect with and speak to, things like that. So.
Well, good. Welcome. Yeah, I just really, when I have any wholesalers, new people, or realtors that are on here, it's like, just please, you know, just add this to something on your radar like you've done. Excellent job. And congratulations for going. I don't really know what this is, but I'm going to figure out how to make it work anyway. So you made a little money flipping a note and you didn't even, you just had it on your radar, right? You heard about it. You thought you could figure it out. And you did.
Right.
So isn't that awesome?
Just happened to ask me if, you know, they filled out my form like they would a person who was looking to sell their house for cash. And I said, and I was truthful. I said, well, I've never done this before, but you know what? I know people who know about notes. So let me throw it out there and see what happens. And I took all the information that I could possibly think of down. I talked to another experienced investor about notes. He told me what types of questions I should ask. I asked those questions and then I kind of just threw it out there. I might have even emailed a couple of people that are at this meeting about this note. But yes, but my other question was like, if I do get these notes in the future, is anybody in this group interested in, I need email addresses, phone call, you know, phone numbers, things, people that I can shoot these out to. Thank you, Mark, for being a good job.
Yeah, anybody who wants to, please just share information. You guys, I'm happy for you all to connect with each other. But that's phenomenal because a lot of times, you know, if a deal doesn't fit in a certain little way, a lot of people miss the opportunity. And then, the reason I'm going after the expired listings and things like that, the people that just got disgusted with listing with an agent, is because, I don't know. There's just different ways to go about solving a problem. I have yet to close something because of that, but I've only been doing it for, a month or so.
Right, exactly.
Sending, just a little bit of leads that are owner carry notes that have been done in the last little while. But I don't know. I'm really proud of you. Most people, most people, especially new ones, it's like, it's really tough. You get to get the momentum going and just make it happen. So what was your background that you think has already made you, I would say you're very successful for a new person, getting things under contract, doing something that you'd never done before. I mean, that's a lot of ovaries right there. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, my background, I've actually done a lot of collaborative research. So I know how to network and to get things going. I'm actually from New York City. I got a PhD there in science. And so I came here to Reno. I was working at UNR. But, science is great and all, but I kind of feel like I want to do something different. So I looked
So
in. Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Well, I'm so glad to have you on the call, and when we start meetings back up, I'll really enjoy meeting you in person. But yeah, feel free to. There's a few people that have given their emails, so
They have. Do you mind if I just one more question?
Sure.
When you do wholesaling, you kind of protect yourself because you have a contract, and then you can assign some sort of a fee. So I think one of the major questions is there a way to like protect myself? And also, is there like a standard when referring notes?
I know what I do, and normally I don't even need anything. But because usually I'm doing people we already have mutual trust, and a lot of times they don't even want to know. They don't want the note seller to know what they're making. So I close the note and then I pay them outside of escrow. That's the way I've worked with you, Abby, too. So how do you, you don't try to protect yourself like with people you're selling to, or, any comments, Abby, on that topic? I can't hear you.
There we go. So you're looking for, just to clarify the question, you're looking to.
How do they protect themselves when they're wholesaling a note, like if they're wholesaling a property?
Just like Dawn said, typically speaking, our company will provide a broker payout or, a finder payout commission statement that would lock the deal. Like if this note was brought to our company, we would, create a package for the seller to sign or accept the broker's, purchase and sale agreement or letter of intent. And then we'll put together a broker commission payout statement that would be paid upon closing, which protects our brokers, and kind of holds our feet to the fire to make sure that we pay them. But it all boils down to trust, right? So who you're dealing with, how did you come by them? Is there any recourse? Were operating from a Gmail, working from home? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what kind of recourse will you have? Those things are definitely something you'd want to look into. I've never had an issue with that. You say, oh, well, sign my NDA or sign my non-circumvent, and that's all well and good. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to, if someone broke one of those, has anyone really tried to enforce those? It's not easy, it's not cheap, and it's, I would say, virtually impossible. Not all the time, but almost impossible. So they're not, I don't think, any good from my experience. So I would just do the research on the person that you're dealing with and make sure that there are, no complaints and what your gut's saying. If they're going to, if you see red flags up front, you're most likely getting a glimpse of what's to happen in the future. That's my experience.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
And that's exactly why, because I'm new, I have to establish the trust. And that's why I said, well, I know Dawn is the note queen, and I know of investors that she networks with. So what I did was I went to meetup.com and I looked at all the people who sign up to her meetings, and I sent out a bunch of emails to those people because I pretty much figured those people were trustworthy, and also because they buy notes. And the other thing is, what's the value? So say someone comes to you and says, you know, they've got a $25,000, it's like a private note, and you want to refer to it. How do you know what's a good price on that? Like, what's the value of that note to an investor? Like, what are the things that you need to consider?
Let me first address, and thank you for the compliment that you assume that anyone's connected to me is trustworthy. And I think mostly they are, but please, you know, always do your due diligence. Best people in the world, like you people here on this call. But you know what? I sometimes even my gut, like I was conned 3 years ago. Like I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I finally at the end of it, I had to. It's all working out. I'll do better than okay in the end of it, but you know what? I was just a little bit lax on the due diligence, and guess what? I learned a lot from that. Second of all, a note is defined by, there's a lot of basics. I think if you've done a little bit of research, it's a $25,000 note can be worth 25,000 or it can be worth nothing. So it really depends on the basics of the, you know, what is it secured by, what position it is it in, credit score, credit worthiness of the borrower, pay history.
Geolocation.
Pardon?
Geolocation.
Yeah, location. What are the foreclosure laws in that state? Are they getting ridiculous? You know, just what you were talking about. So, or there could be a problem in the paperwork so that it's, you know, dubious quality of, or you're not sure if you can actually foreclose if you need to. I guess somebody in Gardnerville, no, do you know Gardnerville? Anyway, they found me somehow and just said, hey, I hear you. I just need to ask some questions about notes. And he ended up having something that I'm just going, you know, I would like, this is that it was a Washington deal where you have to be licensed and nobody's going to start a foreclosure. So I said, this is a gamble. I would have to buy this as a complete gamble, a non-performer, going, you know what? They don't have good credit. You had to do a loan mod. We don't even know if you're not even sure if their taxes are paid up. I know I can't foreclose. So it's just like, I would have to buy your note at a price where I just think it's a good gamble, like going to the casino here in Nevada. You know, if they pay, they don't, or at the end of the day, way down somewhere, I'm going to be a title flaw. And so, you know, someone will have to come and try to get me off title.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Is there a question, Kristen, about, is that what part of your question there as well, or?
Yeah. So, well, right. So what's the value of the note, and right. And I do understand what you're saying, Dawn. Those are all the things that I did check out. And also, right. Is there like a standard fee that you would get for referring a note?
There's no standard fee. It's, you know, I get this question a lot, and, you know, we see fees as low as, and I don't recommend this, as low as $500. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's happened primarily in the beginning of the year, a whole heck of a lot, because it was at the height of crazy high pricing for notes, and then COVID hit. And then that kind of changed a little bit. But I would say that, you know, my rule of thumb is, you know, especially when we do wholesale, $2,500 should be the minimum. And, you know, some would say, well, if you're getting an offer on a $32,000 note for $25,000 and you charge $2,500, that's 10 points. And That is correct. That would be 10 points. But some people like to do the 3 points across the board, no matter what the level of offer is, and that doesn't necessarily work, because if you have 3 points on a $25,000 offer, that's $750. I mean, sure, if you're okay with that, then so be it. And then you try to get 3 points on a $2.5 million loan offer and see how that goes. I mean, any seller in the right mind usually wouldn't accept that. So it really is going to be a determination of the asset type, the ease in which that asset is liquidated. For instance, do they have a very standard note that they can just hop from any one of the competitors and easily liquidate it? I know when Dawn and I take down some deals together, they are not the easiest deals. And, usually that seller has been kind of kicking tires and sniffing around for many, many months before they agree to, an offer on some of these harder to place notes. So it really depends, again, on the circumstances and the characteristics of said loan.
Okay, yeah, and I received a similar answer from someone else, so just checking as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
2,500. The takeaway there is 2,500 bare minimum. I mean, we've done deals less than that, but that was to get the deal done. Good rule of thumb is, it depends what your time is worth. I mean, really, some people may say, hey, I'm doing this on the side, $500 is $500, and others may say, I'm not getting out of bed. I think there's like a famous saying, I don't know how famous it was, but I don't get out of bed for less than 10 grand. There's people out there that think like that, and so be it.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I remember Keith, Dave, you know this guy too. Keith Lankeet says that. I remember him saying that. Like, I wouldn't even get out. If I'm not going to make 10 grand on something, I'm not even going to get out of bed for it. But on the other hand, like when I was starting in the note business, there was a gal that she was bound and determined, and she was willing to work cheaper than anybody else. So she says, no matter what size of the note, I'll only charge $1,000. So when, if 20 other brokers were submitting the same note, and she said, I'll work for $1,000. So that's how she got going. She was working for cheap, but then she built her own, because she had the volume. Then she started building her own list of private investors, and she did great. She must be doing, I don't know what she's doing now, but back in the day, she was like, taking down a lot of deals, and she was in the thick of it. So it's just kind of, I used to work for cheaper than I do now. Right now it's an accident. Right now, yeah, but usually it's like things that are working harder for slimmer margins, I'm not as interested in. But I think David Kurtzman can say at his stage in investing, and he's even more discriminating. It's like, you know what? I don't want it messy. I don't want a lot of hair on it. It has to, meet my objective.
I'm in the been there, screwed that up mode.
Yeah.
I'm still recovering on 3 houses that I made 60% LTV firsts on in 2006.
And you're upside down or not?
They have finally come back.
Yeah.
So, and being in the California market, I mean, we lost 40 to 50%.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the Midwest or whatever, and they lost 25 cents.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, and so you kind of have to be careful of whatever market you get into.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, there's 2 other people, Axel, that raised their hands. I think we're gonna cut it off in the next 5 or 10 minutes here. So let's get to people that want to raise their hands. Who will raise their hand?
Okay, hi. This is Melanie Jacob, and Dawn, I met you at Quest like 2 years ago, and I got my picture with you because I'm from the medical field, and I was like, I relate to her, so I'm a dietitian, so your story really inspired me.
Oh, wonderful.
So I've been following you, but I missed a lot of your Saturday morning stuff because I have kids, and a lot of stuff happens as a family during the weekend. So it's 9 o'clock here in Michigan, but I'm just logging in, and I'm glad to just be a fly on the wall. And we've been note investors. I met Abby at IMN this year. We're note investors for a couple years now, and we, we're beginners, but we have about 20. We closed on our first note in Texas today, which I was super happy about.
Congratulations!
We got 20 notes, and we're trying to prepare for another big round of opportunities. So if you guys, if we can put you on our buyers list, or if you're interested, we get a lot of inventory because I was a big networker for about 2 solid years, and it's all about relationships and really getting to know people and knowing your sellers, knowing your buyers, and So
yeah, fantastic. So what type are these, mom and pop or institutional notes?
We buy from hedge funds typically. We do bank outreaches, but now we're doing more local stuff in Michigan. But a lot of them have been, some of them, our first ones were non-performing, and I know there was a question about how much legal. We've used a lot of legal. So I think if you're getting started, it might be, and you want to learn the notes, you might want to stick with like a performing note or something and keep it, or seller finance note, and do it really, keep it, like learn the business that way versus jump in non-performing with no real estate background.
Right.
Right.
So, I've taken everybody's email down, and Kristen, I'm inspired by you. I mean, 3 or 4 months, you're going to do well.
She comes online as a wholesaler and like, oh, I don't know, I know I can figure this out. It's like, see, that's kind of a mental stance where that's making or breaking someone. Like, you can get all the learning and all the training, but just the idea of, I'm going to take action, and if I don't know, I know I can figure it out.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's like the game changer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. Yeah. That's nice. But I have to say that in the few short months, though, I have met some really good mentors and really good investors. Just I started out by going to Ginger Marfus's meeting, and I just met so many different people. So I mean, it was all about networking and just probably meeting the right people at the right time, maybe. But it wasn't all me. It was definitely had some help with a lot of investors. But thank you.
I have a feeling, so you'll pay it for. You'll be paying it back, I'm sure. Okay, well, thank you. I'm glad you came on board to share that story. Very inspiring. Okay, how about who else? Who else raised their hand to say hello?
I raised my hand. My name is Josh. This is my first time ever being in a group like this. Started off kind of trying to wholesale, and then got circumvented. So then I moved into mentors and gurus. And then I think my first successful real estate transaction was a sub 2 wrap mortgage. And that's what kind of piqued my interest in notes. And so now we're trying to grow our company to a national scale and trying to take advantage of this whole remote environment. So we've got, houses that we're buying pretty much all over the country, but also what we try to do is we try to implore a lot of private money in our deals and we actually originate a lot of notes. So that would be like seconds and thirds and also firsts for purchase money, even though those are going to be at a higher interest level. So we try to really take advantage of the sub 2 acquisition method if we can find really good existing mortgages to cash flow on, which are going to be like 3.25, maybe 4. And then we just pay the reinstatement fee and we kind of cash flow those. We wrap them. We're also interested in non-performing notes. We like to foreclose on those and wrap those.
So you're doing a lot of things. So what's your company? You're not just some guy living in your mom's basement, I can tell you.
No. The name of my company is called Double E Investment Properties. Started it with
E?
Double E My last name is Dees, Dees.
Uh-huh.
And it's also named after a company that my wife's grandfather started in the 1930s that was a manufacturer for oil rig parts called Double E Inc. So I figured my last name's Dees and it just works, so we could carry on kind of that legacy. But yeah, quit my W-2 job back in October of 18 to do this
for
kind of
you.
full time. After I was making like 30 grand a year, and after we made like 40 grand on our first deal, I was like, yeah, no, not gonna keep doing this. But anyways, we're just trying to meet people in the note space, trying to get into the note space. Like right now,
did you type in your contact information, website?
I did.
email,
I typed in my email in the chat. It's josh@selfforcashusa.com.
Okay.
So really, I'm just trying to network with folks who are interested in being private investors, but also interested in buying notes, because just like we originate notes, we also look to sell them. If the occasion arises, like if we take down a property sub 2, which can be tricky, but I'll tell you firsthand, it's pretty much the insurance that is the major factor there.
Mhm.
If for some reason the note gets called due and we've already got a tenant borrower in there, we may just have to, sell the underlying note to another investor who's interested in being first position, and just take the spread of the other
Wait.
notes, if any.
How do you sell a note that was a bank originated note that you mean pay it off?
Correct. Pay it off.
Oh, okay. You're not.
Extinguish it.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's quite a process. I know I've had a few people bring me wrap notes. Will you buy the spread?
Yeah.
Have you been successful getting people to buy the spread from you on those?
Yeah, I actually sold my first wrap note because I was scared to death of the due on sale clause. And so right after I actually closed the wrap, it was like a day later, this guy named George calls me and he's like, "Hey, did you just close a mortgage in Dallas?" And I was like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" He's like, "Well, don't worry about it. Anyways, I'd like to buy that note." And I was like, "Cool, yeah, let's do it." I think he gave me like 85% of the unpaid principal, and ended up there was a good spread in there, because usually the way that I was taught to do wraps is you want to create a QM, a qualified mortgage. You want to stay Dodd-Frank compliant, send them through an RMLO, because it'll help you in the end if you want to sell that note. So, no negative amortizations, no balloon payments, 10% down.
So did the 85 cents give you a profit plus pay off the first?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
About 40,000.
Yeah, the ones I'm seeing are like, they might have a $15,000 spread, which just isn't enough to
Yeah,
make
sometimes
it
they
work.
get tight.
Yeah, it's like, well, I might buy that if we leave the first in place, but I'm only going to pay you $1,000 for that, for that extra $200 a month spread, right?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. So are you in the Dallas area?
I am.
You and I maybe should, can you email me at don@notequeen.com? Because that lawsuit that I'm involved in is in Tarrant County and Dallas County. I just got a judgment in Tarrant County. I expect Dallas. I should be deeded 3 properties that were actually stolen from me by these guys that have been disbarred and everything else. But
geez Louise.
Yeah. It's just incredulous. But I'm gonna have things that I'm gonna want to liquidate. So if you would please email me so I can keep track of it, I would appreciate that.
Absolutamente. Well, yeah, so it's nice to meet you guys. You'll have to excuse my gloves. My daughter had a pretty wicked sunburn, and we've been popping blisters. So that's always fun. Not popping. I shouldn't say popping, more so draining. But yeah, she's in a lot of pain. So thoughts and prayers for her. But anyways, it's nice to meet you guys. I think this was the first one I hopped on because I usually get your virtual coffee emails. Yeah, but this one had a Zoom link, so I decided to go ahead and hop on and take advantage of this whole thing. Yeah, it's nice to meet you guys. Emails in the comments, and yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Okay, it is 7:15 and I can smell that my dinner is waiting for me. So I want to just say, you know what? I may hold a spontaneous meeting, but like I said, I may just pick things up in September. if you have any special need that I can help connect you with anyone, I will do my best. But I really appreciate all of you. Abby, Dave, Shri, all the people, Josh, you sharing your stories, Kristen. So I really
Hey, Don,
appreciate you. Yeah,
quick question. This is
yeah,
Shri. So for us people who are outside of your neck of the woods,
yeah.
I know coffee is the one way to connect with you. Is there a possibility to make these meetups online even going forward?
Yeah, that's probably going to be one of the transitions, and I'm trying to decide if I should just merge the two instead of doing, if they're both going to be online. I think maybe I might just merge them. That's some of the things that I'm going to be thinking about. Like, how do I don't know. I'm in the mood to just like pull back a little bit and just sort of recreate something, or just have a break. It's been a whirlwind in my world the last several months, to be honest. So I think maybe a lot of people can, before COVID, I had my own personal COVID. So anyway, but I'm just giving myself a little bit of a mental break to sort of reconfigure and replan and see what I want to come out with in the fall. And so anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing until further notice. But I really appreciate you all participating. I mean, it's all the people that show up that make this clearly. So anyway, all of you take care, and I will have a great summer, and I'll catch up with you when we do.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Thanks, Axel. I appreciate you hosting the meeting.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Axel.
Hey, thank you, Mary Kay.
Call me, Dawn.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dawn. Nice meeting you.
All right. Nice meeting you too.
Thanks for everything.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.